This is the time of year when gardeners get really excited about gardening, and of course then those seed catalogs start showing up in those mailboxes. You start seeing ads online for seeds, all sorts of plants, and what we want to talk about then, of course, is what you should look at before you just go ahead and swipe that credit card, call somebody, and either order something you really don't want or you don't get something that you really do want. So we're going to talk about that in general with all of these great seed catalogs set out in front of us, beginning with, what do you want to look for first? What do you think, Terri?
Well, I think that you want to just sit down with your gardening journal and start taking a list of what worked. Remember, you're going to look at what worked well last year, and then you're going to also look at what you want to see for the next year. So there's always brand new seeds that are showing up in the seed catalog, and those are usually always in the front of the catalog. It's usually where I start. And then I just start in my journal and I start writing down what I liked, what I don't like. And then of course I probably have to whittle it down a little bit because everybody knows us plant people like a big list of plants.
So you bring up a really good point, which of course is that just because it's on the front, or I look on the back cover as well, because that can be another place where all those new ones are, you do have to think about what you want in your landscape or in your garden as well, and that space that you have in which you're going to actually grow those plants. The catalogs themselves have a lot of information about specific plants. It's not necessarily information that really works for your particular garden location. And one of the things you also want to look at in those catalogs is their keys. So they will have keys in the front, in the middle, maybe on the order form if you're actually going to write something down and send a check or send a credit card as opposed to do this totally online. But you need to look at those keys and then also match that key for the plant that you think you want against what the key says it's going to do and where it's going to grow. So talk a little bit too, Terri, about the All-America selections or the proven winners or the ones that have that funky little symbol on them and what that should mean to gardeners.
As you remember, the Backyard Farmer Garden is an All-America selection display garden, so you're more than welcome to come and visit us and check it out and see what's growing here. We will have the brand new winners of this year, 2024, and then 23, 22, and 21 growing in our garden. But you'll be able to see those little logos, the AAS logo. Proven Winners also usually has winners, Burpees, Johnnies. They all have specific ones that they have bred and kind of within their own breeding programs have kind of winners. One of the other things that I'm going to talk about is looking at kind of especially vegetables. If you're growing kind of in a much smaller urban environment, a lot of these vegetables are specifically grown now and bred for containers. So look at the sizes and the relative sizes compared to some of the other ones on the pages. So if you're looking at green beans or some of those kinds of things, look at how the height are and the spread are, and then that will make sure that you'll have plenty of room in those areas that you're growing them in.
So another point that I want to make is that it's not just about the seeds, even though that is really what excites gardeners a lot because they want to start growing those seeds. But there are also a lot of catalogs that carry plants, whether they are vegetable plants or flower plants or even shrubs and trees. And what you want to look at there is the relative size and how those trees or shrubs or perennials are grown. If they're bare root, the shipping dates are going to be different. If they are in soil in a container of some sort, that's going to be heavier. That is all going to impact the price that you are going to pay, not for just the specific plant, but for getting it to you. And you also have to look at your zone across the country. We're not talking about growing zones, although that is very, very important, but we're talking about the shipping zones. And again, some companies will not ship to certain locations after a particular time because they know that Mother Nature may play tricks and those plants won't get here in good condition.
You also have to remember they won't ship till a specific time either. So oftentimes some of those new plants, you're really excited about getting them, but you may not see them until mid to late May.
Usually the shipping companies are very good about that. You do need to know though, you're going to probably be getting something fairly small if you get especially trees, or if you get a bigger one, go ahead and check the price against one of your local suppliers. We like to buy locally. One of the issues about buying locally sometimes, though, is they may not be able to get in the seeds or the plants that we see that we're all excited about because it takes a long time for that stock to get built up, or they simply can't handle that inventory. So a couple of pointers on how you actually could go ahead and start thinking about your gardening season with those seed catalogs would be what?
Well, like I said, the list, and then what do you want to see? What do you want to eat? What do you want to grow? What is your favorite color? All of those are really great things to start with and start looking at, even though it's cold and dreary outside. And remember, these seed catalogs are your tool, so make sure that you're using them correctly, make sure you're reading them completely, and don't forget that garden journal to make sure that you're remembering where you're finding that at so that you can have a great garden for 2024.